A beef between two titans of the New York music scene hits the trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Why 50 Cent was brought up this week during emotional witness testimony. Combs and 50, they've been at odds for a long time.
One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent. And it turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this.
Diddy Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words.
You and Puff haven't liked each other business-wise for a long time.
Well, that's why. It's only business. It was really, away from that, I explained why I didn't hang out with him, right? Because it's a little fluffy stuff going on.
It's not your scene.
It's not my style.
Not your scene.
They hug you from the front and the back at the same time.
It's not your thing.
In her testimony, Clark claimed that shortly after she started working for Diddy, Diddy and his security guards took her to Central Park after dark, and Diddy said, quote, "He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me."
Says things, he doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he said something fabulous and he goes, "Yo, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party." What is he talking about?
Incense has gone off.
When people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable.
Puff can't hear a hit? That's kind of crazy, Fifth.
He still hear things from back then, that time period.
Oh, got you now.
Right.
Okay. Got you saying.
He can't buy it right. He can't. You play it for him right now, and it's hot. He can't buy it. This is why he's fighting Drake. When you hit Drake, because he used the beat that he didn't actually use.
0 to 100.
Like doing things with people I'd done business with, that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, "He said that to you?"
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, so all right." You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it.
Two of the biggest names in hip-hop just collided in a courtroom, and it's not over a beat or a diss track. It's something much darker. One of them is fighting for his freedom. The other walked into the courtroom with a calm stare and a story the world wasn't ready for. 50 Cent and Sean Diddy Combs have traded jabs for years, on social media, in interviews, through music. But this week, the feud turned deadly serious. In the middle of Diddy's explosive trial for racketeering and sex trafficking, 50 took the stand. And what he said didn't just rattle the courtroom, it sent shockwaves through the entire music industry. This wasn't trolling. This wasn't about clout. What 50 revealed under oath pointed to something far more dangerous than a celebrity beef. Private threats, secret parties, and silent victims, names, places, patterns that couldn't be ignored anymore. And the scariest part? 50 Cent says he's just one of many who know what really went on behind Diddy's closed doors. Because for decades, Diddy built a brand on power, exclusivity, and control. But now the mask is slipping. And the truth? It's coming out piece by piece. And it started with a grenade in court. For years, fans saw the Diddy versus 50 Cent rivalry as entertainment. Diss tracks, shady Instagram captions, and meme-level trolling made it feel like two rich men poking fun at each other. But behind the jokes was something far more sinister, and this week, it finally came to light. Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant and one-time head of marketing for his Sean John brand, took the stand. What she described wasn't just workplace drama, it was psychological warfare. Clark said Diddy once took her to Central Park after dark, flanked by security. There, he told her flat out, if she had ties to Suge Knight, his longtime enemy, he'd have to kill her. At first, people thought she was exaggerating, but she wasn't done. Clark testified that Diddy didn't just intimidate, he manipulated, controlled, and isolated. She described veiled threats, constant fear, and a level of emotional abuse that kept people too scared to speak. And then, she mentioned another moment, one that involved 50 Cent. A chilling comment casually made by Diddy that pointed to a deeper tension, one rooted in violence, not rivalry. This wasn't just about hip-hop beef, it was about fear, and it was about control. The kind that doesn't end with a diss track. I don't like drama, I like guns. Capricorn Clark's testimony didn't stop at Central Park. One of the most disturbing moments she recalled happened during a press event at MTV. Diddy, 50 Cent, and entertainment manager Chris Lighty were all there. But what should have been a routine celebrity appearance quickly turned dark. After the event wrapped, Clark, Diddy, and Lighty stepped into an elevator. Inside that small space, away from cameras, Diddy leaned in and said something chilling. "I don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." Clark told the courtroom his tone was deadly serious. When the prosecutor asked who the comment was aimed at, she didn't hesitate. 50 Cent. This wasn't rap bravado. This was a veiled threat made in a confined space, spoken to a manager who was working with both artists at the time. Diddy wasn't posturing for headlines, he was drawing lines in private. That comment would stick. It would add another brick to the wall of testimony being built against him, a pattern of intimidation, manipulation, and control that extended well beyond his romantic relationships. And for 50 Cent, this moment wasn't forgotten. It marked the point where rivalry turned into something much more personal and much more dangerous. 50 Cent takes the stand, not just a witness, but a warning. No one expected 50 Cent to show up in court. For years, he had taken jabs at Diddy online, mocking, trolling, turning rumors into punchlines. But when he walked through the courtroom doors and took the stand, everything changed. The jokes stopped. The mask came off. He didn't enter like a man looking for revenge. He wasn't loud. He wasn't dramatic. His voice was steady, calm, and focused. He said he never wanted to be part of this case, but what he knew, what he'd seen, was too dark to ignore. 50 told the court he had known Diddy for years, longer than most people in the room. He'd seen the public persona and the private one, and it was that private Diddy he was there to expose. The one people whispered about, but never confronted. The one who built an empire on silence and fear. He spoke about conversations behind closed doors, about watching people change after being around Diddy, and he warned the court this wasn't just about music. It was about a culture of control that stretched far beyond the studio. What 50 brought wasn't hearsay, it was a bombshell. And once it was out there, it couldn't be taken back. The private parties, not just glamour, but control. According to 50 Cent, the real story wasn't in the headlines. It was behind closed doors where the lights were dim, phones were banned, and the rules didn't apply. He described exclusive parties thrown by Diddy, ones that weren't about celebration but domination. At first glance, they looked like typical celebrity events, champagne flowing, A-listers everywhere, the kind of parties you'd expect from a music mogul. But 50 said something always felt off. The energy was strange. Guests looked tense, nervous. Some didn't even seem like they wanted to be there. He told the courtroom about a specific night. He left early because something didn't sit right. The next morning, a shaken friend who'd stayed behind called him. They said people were being pressured into doing things they didn't want to do. And Diddy was at the center of it all. This wasn't just about bad vibes, it was about power. 50 painted a picture of a man who used influence not to inspire, but to control, who tested boundaries and pushed people until they broke. And if they pushed back, they disappeared. These weren't wild rumors anymore. They were part of sworn testimony, under oath, on record, in front of the world, a pattern of fear and silence. What 50 Cent described in court wasn't just one bad night. It was a pattern, one that stretched across years, careers, and lives. He said artists who got close to Diddy often vanished from the spotlight without explanation. Employees quit suddenly, never speaking publicly. And those who stayed, many looked like they were just trying to survive. According to 50, the silence wasn't accidental, it was enforced. He claimed people were quietly frozen out, cut off, or manipulated into staying quiet. Some were allegedly blackmailed, others controlled through fear. He said there were whispers in the industry that Diddy kept files, photos, videos, leverage. 50 made it clear he'd never seen those files himself, but the fear? That was real. Too many people mentioned it, too many stayed quiet for too long. He said people left Diddy's studio at night looking emotionally broken, not physically hurt, but drained. As if they had been pushed past a boundary they didn't want to cross. And the worst part? Most of them never said a word. Because in Diddy's world, loyalty wasn't earned, it was demanded, and silence was the currency that bought you protection. But now, that silence is cracking. And 50 Cent was just the first break in the wall. The moment 50 Cent's name came up in the trial, he did what he does best. He made noise, but this time, it wasn't just trolling, it was strategic. Just hours after his testimony, 50 posted an AI-generated image of himself on a movie set with the caption, "Cut, wait a minute, Puffy's got a gun, I don't feel safe." It was funny on the surface, but underneath, it was razor-sharp commentary. Then came another post, 50 in a Yankees hat, eyes wide, captioned, "Oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead, I have to lay low." The next day, he showed up courtside at an NBA playoff game wearing a shirt that read, "Free Diddy." It was layered sarcasm, mocking the man who once seemed untouchable. Social media exploded. Old interviews resurfaced. Fans began digging through years of content. Clips where 50 hinted at something deeper. Tweets that once seemed like jokes now felt like warnings. And the silence from Diddy? Deafening. No clapback, no statement, no spin. For a man who built his legacy on controlling the narrative, that silence said more than words ever could. Because suddenly, the court of public opinion wasn't laughing. It was listening. What made 50 Cent's testimony different wasn't just what he said. It was how he said it. He didn't yell. He didn't grandstand. He spoke like a man who'd seen too much and stayed quiet for too long. He admitted that early in his career, Diddy offered him a secret deal. Something off the books. Something vague. When 50 pushed for clarity, the offer vanished. Days later, Diddy confronted him directly, told him it wasn't for him. And the look in his eyes, 50 said it still haunts him. He spoke of young artists who came to him privately, describing a suffocating environment inside Diddy's world, where silence was expected and resistance came with consequences. Not lawsuits, not career setbacks, something darker. 50 didn't call it a feud anymore, he called it a warning. He talked about how the industry had protected Diddy for decades, how people laughed off the rumors, made excuses, and turned a blind eye, how the culture normalized abuse as long as the success kept coming. And finally, he said he was done whispering. "This isn't about beef," he told the court, "it's about truth." And in that moment, even his biggest critics had to stop and listen. What happened in that courtroom wasn't just a personal reckoning. It was a cultural shift. For decades, Diddy built his image around being larger than life, the mogul, the hit maker, the untouchable icon. But when 50 Cent took the stand, that illusion began to crumble. Not with drama, not with revenge, but with calm, brutal honesty. More witnesses are expected, more names, more stories, more receipts. And for an industry that spent years ignoring whispers, the truth is no longer optional. The mask is off. And it's not just Diddy who looks exposed, it's the system around him, the silence, the complicity, the people who laughed off the rumors and looked the other way. 50 Cent said, "This isn't about beef, it's about truth." And now that truth is spreading fast, online, in courtrooms and across a culture that once treated power like a shield. But power doesn't look invincible anymore. Diddy is facing charges that could change his life forever. But the real story might be even bigger than his fall. Because if the walls are finally coming down, they won't stop at one man. The truth is here, and it's coming for everyone who thought they were untouchable.